All right, 7 things Medicare does not cover. I'll do this every now and again just because it's so important. A couple reasons. A is because I get a lot of new people on the channel. I do a lot of videos. There's no way anyone's all. B, Medicare for All is in the news now, which is silly because everyone thinks Medicare for some reason is you don't pay anything. I don't understand that. I'll never forget reading this letter to the editor, and I think it's New York Times or Washington Post or some liberal newspaper about 5-6 years ago. This lady had all this work done. She goes, "It's free. It was free. It's the best thing ever." And I was completely like, the money just falls from the sky. The doctors just donate their time. The hospitals just donate their building. It's not free. It's nuts. And of course, we got it in politics too. So we got politics. We got the fact a lot of people are new to the channel with Medicare, and the fact is we're all going to be on it by law. You hit 65, you're going to be on Medicare unless there's some small extenuating circumstances. I'm a fan of Medicare. I think it's a perfect voucher system. I've said this a million times a Sunday. Someone on my Facebook page is saying, you like socialism if you got the GI Bill, if you have Medicare and all this. I chuckled. I said, okay, silly. But voucher is great. I've always been a big fan of the voucher, which is what Medicare is for sure. Certainly the Part B, Part Bs, certainly the supplemental policies and the Medicare Advantages without question. So let's dive into it because there are some things it doesn't cover, which is why you need supplemental policies on top of, if I can get this thing to... Hold on just a second. I want to make it so there we go. All right. Which is why you need the supplemental, why you need the Part B, why you need the Part D, or you need the Medicare Advantages. So if you think about it, just remember, Medicare in of itself, so original Medicare is only 80%. They'll cover 80%, and you're on the hook for the other 20% of whatever it is that Medicare covers. We're going to go over the 7 things that they don't. So just from the original Medicare, you are still on the hook for a significant portion of the cost. Be advised. So all these people say Medicare is free. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. They just don't. That's all there is to it. You are still on the hook. Now, you can buy a private supplemental policy, Medigap, or you can buy a Medicare Advantage. All right, so you can do it. So you got Medicare Part B, Part C, and Part D. All right, so you got the Medicare Part B and Part D. Medicare Part B is for the doctors and physician services. Medicare Part D is for prescription drugs. You could also buy a Medigap or Medicare supplemental policy, or you could buy Medicare Part C, which is Medicare Advantage. Now, just to make it even more confusing, Medicare Part A is your hospital insurance. So when you're paying your FICA taxes, you're paying, was it 6.2 for old age survivor disability insurance, OASDI, and then you're paying 2 point something, 15 for HI, that's hospital insurance. So you'll see on your FICA, it consists of old age survivor disability insurance, OASDI, and then there's HI, which is the Medicare part, I think it's 2.15. But anyway, either way, that's for hospital insurance. So once you hit 65, you don't have to pay the hospital insurance anymore. That's quote unquote free. But you still have to pay physician services, and that's what your Part B will cover because you have a monthly premium of $135 a month or more, depending on how much your income is. Your modified adjusted gross income, that's before your tax deductions, by the way, or your standard deductions. And then you have your Medicare Part D, which is prescription drugs, which we're going to talk about here, right? Now, or you can have a Medicare Advantage, which is Medicare Part C, which essentially takes over Part B, may or may not do Part D. Combine them, you have to talk to a broker, like my man J.O. up in Michigan, Jaeohjo, and then Danielle Roberts down in Texas. Those are the 2 folks I recommend you talk to because they're both brokers. All right, so here's Kiplinger's Dateline 2018 from Kimberly Langford. I've read from Kimberly a bunch of times, so this is a little bit old, but it's the same. Nothing's changed. Medicare Part A and B, also known as Original Medicare or Traditional Medicare, covers a large portion of your medical expenses after you turn 65. Part A, the hospital insurance, pays for inpatient hospital stays in nursing, skilled nursing facilities, surgery, hospice care, and even some home health care. Part B helps pay for doctor's visits, outpatient care, and some preventive maintenance services. Most folks can start signing up for Medicare 3 months before they turn 65. It's important to understand that Part A and Part B leave some pretty significant gaps in your coverage, though. Here's a closer look at what is not covered by Medicare, plus information about supplemental insurance policies and strategies to help you cover the additional costs. prescription drugs, and that's going to be your Part D. Medicare doesn't provide coverage for outpatient prescription drugs, but you can buy a separate Part D prescription drug policy that does, roughly right now in 2019, about $35 a month for the prescription drug Part D plan, again, depending on what your modified adjusted gross income is. Or a Medicare Advantage plan that covers both medical and drug costs. Some retiree healthcare policies cover both prescription drugs too. You can sign up for Part D or Medicare Advantage coverage when you enroll in Medicare. Right, or when you lose your other drug coverage. If you have Medicare Advantage, you need to be looking at that every year. There's no other way around that. Talk to your broker every year. Has other drugs been taken on, have other drugs been falling off on your Part D, because that stuff can change, man. And this is way beyond my rank. I'm just telling you right now, go talk to somebody, a broker, not a captive agent, and say, hey, has anything changed on my Medicare Advantage plan for the prescription drugs that they cover? I'm telling you, because it changes every year. All right. Long-term care. It says right on their Social Security statement. I think it's page 3 or page 4. I think it's page 4. It used to be. Medicare does not cover long-term care. One of the largest potential expenses in retirement is the cost of long-term care. The median cost to I don't care about that. Medicare, because I've done so many videos on long-term care. It just bores me. The median cost, yeah, it is. The median cost if you need it. But what's the likelihood of you need it? Not very high. Let's see. So they act like the median cost is for the general population as a whole. It's just for people going into a facility, which aren't that many people to begin with. Medicare provides coverage for some skilled nursing facilities services, but not for custodial care. So remember, it's curing versus caring. So Medicare can jump in there for some degree for curing. You're getting fixed. They do not cut in there if you're being cared for. So curing versus caring, if you're being cared for, Medicare won't cover it for, I think it's like 90 days or something like that. And that's why you have the deductible, essentially a wait elimination period, usually of 90 days, because after that, Medicare stops and you're on your own. Medicare they'll provide some coverage initially for bathing, dressing, other activities of daily living. But you can buy long-term care or a combination long-term care and life insurance policy to cover these other costs. Because Medicare is not going to kick in. It's just not. Deductibles and co-pays, and this again why you need Part B or a Medicare Advantage plan. Part A covers hospital stays, and Part B covers doctor services, but you're responsible for deductibles and co-pays. In 2018, you'll have to pay a Part A deductible of $1,340 before coverage kicks in. And you also have to pay a portion of the cost of long hospital stays, $335 per day between days 61 and 90, and $670 per day after that. Be aware, over your lifetime, Medicare will only pay a total of 60 days beyond the 90-day limit, called lifetime reserve days, and therefore you will pay the full hospital costs, which will bankrupt you. Part B typically covers 80% of doctor services, labs, x-rays, but you'll have to pay the other 20% after a $183 deductible. A Medigap or a policy or Medicare supplemental policy or Medicare Advantage can help fill the gaps if you don't have supplemental coverage from a retiree health insurance plan. Medigap are sold by private insurance companies and comes in 10 different standardized versions. I think it's my man Jay, I think it's Part G, Part F, and Part, I want to say N, but I'm drawing a blank. That's out there anymore. But again, talk to a broker. But they're sold, but they're vouchers. Medicare pays the companies to offer you insurance. That's what they do. And the same thing in Medicare Advantage. Medicare Advantage plans, Part C, provides both medical and drug coverage through a private insurance. Make sure they cover both, though. And they may also provide additional coverage, such as vision and dental care and other things like silver sneakers and whatnot. Dental care, Medicare does not provide coverage for routine dental visits. Some Medicare Advantage plans will cover some dental plans, and they generally have an annual coverage cap of about $1,500. The dental stuff's a big deal, my friends. You got to figure that stuff out. Don't just say you got to figure that out before you hang up your boots at work or whatever. But even if you've already retired, how are you going to get your new teeth? How are you going to get cleanings? How are you going to because dental is not covered by Medicare and it is not cheap. All right, so you got to use it for sure. And routine vision care. Yep. Medicare generally doesn't cover routine eye exams or glasses. They do have some exceptions, but Medicare Advantage plans usually do provide vision coverage, or you may be able to buy a supplemental policy. Oh, lastly, hearing aids. Oh, yeah. Medicare does not cover routine hearing exams or hearing aids, which can cost as much as $3,000 per ear. I had to look in that myself last year, and I didn't get it because they gave me a sample, and I just didn't like it, man. It didn't feel good in my ear, and I'm not that deaf, but at some point I will, and it's going to be out of pocket, man. So we got teeth, eyes, and ears out of pocket. Teeth, eyes, and ears out of pocket, and look again at your Medicare Advantage plans. You got to look at it for sure. But just remember, Medicare Advantage plans are essentially an HMO. Medigap plans are your own. Anyone who takes Medicare will take your Medigap policy, your Medicare supplemental policy. So there's a negative of Medicare Advantage, and there's positive, and just there's negative of Medigap, and there's positive there too. So that's the Medicare overseas. There you go. Medicare usually doesn't cover you while you receive while you're traveling overseas, except for very limited circumstances, such as a cruise ship within 6 hours of a U.S. port. Medigap plans C through G, M, and N cover 80% of the cost of emergency care abroad, with a lifetime limit of $50,000. Some MA plans, Medicare Advantage plans, do cover emergency care abroad. And we got to think about all that. So lots of stuff to think about that for sure. To look up Medicare's coverage rules and other type of procedures, go to medicare.gov/coverage. But remember, eyes, ears, mouth, they don't cover. Long-term care, they don't cover. Travel insurance, so travel overseas, they don't cover. There's a lot they don't cover. That's why the whole thing for Medicare for All, like, they might cover it. And again, even if you don't have a supplemental policy or Medicare Advantage, you're still on the hook for 20%, man. All right, so they're not even covering the full original Medicare. Doesn't cover the full issue of your expenses either. So there's a lot you got to think about, and just don't fall for this. We're Medicare for all. We're all safe. It's not going to work. There is not going to work. So anyway, hope you find this helpful. And if you have comments, or maybe you've gone through Medicare and you've been traveling or something like that, or you use dental services or whatever, put it in the notes, man. People read this stuff, and I guarantee you can be of assistance to other people who are in your boat, because I'm not there. I'm 40, about to turn 49, so I'm a long way yet, but people need to learn, and we need to help each other. So please put in the comments what you've been going through. Love to hear it. All right, thanks now.